Kyuhin will tell the story of a boy named Yamamoto, the son of a priest. Yamamoto is a high school student, and he has an interest in a girl who is also in the same school and class as him. The girl is no ordinary girl. She is the heiress of their little island's largest company. Her name is Reina. Yamamoto likes Reina because of the small kindnesses she shows him. One day, Yamamoto is called by Reina to meet. An incident happens to Reina, and finally, they share a secret that they should not have stepped into. They are connected. This finally begins a suspenseful tale of love and escape. Set on a beautiful small island, the most beautiful existence there belongs to a girl named Reina Shiratori. Not only is she beautiful, but Reina also excels in academics, and her father, who is the big boss of a famous company on the island, makes sure she lacks nothing. Very ideal, unlike students in general, like Yamamoto. Yamamoto is Reina's classmate. He has a religious background, where his father is a priest. His mother always reminds Yamamoto to be close to his god. Even when he is about to go to school, the young man never forgets to bring an omamori or amulet as a form of respect. Yamamoto was an ordinary student. In the category of boys that can be divided into two, the first is those who can easily get close to a girl. Yamamoto is the second group who have never had a relationship or have even had difficulty interacting with a girl. Yamamoto may have never thought about getting involved with a girl, but that day, something happened. Yamamoto accidentally bumped into another student and fell. When he got up, the back of his shirt was pulled by someone, and that person was Reina. Yamamoto was very surprised. Never in his life did he think that the most popular girl in class, and even on his island, would call him. That day, Reina called Yamamoto to give Yamamoto the omamori Yamamoto had just dropped. Reina then asked if Yamamoto believed in gods because Yamamoto owned the amulet. Yamamoto certainly confirmed it because he was the son of a priest, but in his answer, there was no hint of faith, and he was more dominated by doubt. Yamamoto was just trying to act normal. As his mother said, the gods will always watch over the islanders, so it was a must for Yamamoto to respect them. Reina remained silent after hearing Yamamoto's answer. She left after her friend called out to her. Yamamoto could only watch Reina walk away from him. He still couldn't believe that Reina had just spoken to him. He even realized that Reina looked even more charming up close. That meeting wasn't a big deal for Yamamoto, but since then, he'd been paying more attention to Reina. The young man even dared to steal glances at Reina several times. In fact, they also met quite often. Because of this, Yamamoto assumed that perhaps Reina also had feelings for him. Reina and her friends had noticed Yamamoto's behavior of frequently stealing glances at Reina. One of her friends suggested that Reina ask for help from an upperclassman to reprimand Yamamoto. After all, Reina was also quite popular because of her looks, so they were sure that an upperclassman would be willing to help. However, Reina refused. She was confident enough that she was capable of dealing with Yamamoto herself. Reina planned to handle Yamamoto on her own, without anyone's help. The plan was carried out during recess. Reina asked her friend to call Yamamoto for her. Yamamoto was shocked. One guess he could think of, because Reina called him suddenly, was that it was a love confession. However, his guess was completely wrong. Yamamoto was taken to the women's restroom, and there, Reina bullied him. Reina stepped on Yamamoto's head while warning him to stop looking at her with disgusting eyes. Yamamoto still didn't seem to realize what was happening. He was shocked and wondered if his gaze was really disgusting. It was only after a while that Yamamoto realized that looking and exchanging glances with Reina wasn't a good thing. Yamamoto felt bad when he thought that maybe Reina would think that Yamamoto was a weird person. Yamamoto unconsciously started to shed tears. It made Reina's friends laugh. Reina was quite relieved and confirmed to her friends that to deal with Yamamoto, Reina didn't need to ask for help or involve their upperclassmen. Reina felt enough of a warning and hurried off while her friends said "see you tomorrow" to Yamamoto. Reina didn't understand what he meant by "seeing you tomorrow" until the time came. They continued to bully Yamamoto, only the torture became more excruciating each day. One day, Yamamoto was ordered to lick Reina's feet. Yamamoto obeyed and did what Reina and two of her friends watched. Reina's friends seemed to really enjoy watching it. They thought Reina was the same, but even though they thought few men would act as obediently as Yamamoto, Reina still didn't feel so happy doing it. They laughed while Yamamoto continued to carry out the orders. His gaze was straight, and he even seemed to enjoy the order. Not only licking, Yamamoto began to devour Reina's toes one by one, making the girl almost lose control of herself. Yamamoto saw Reina's expression, which looked difficult, but he enjoyed it. The man opened Reina's legs to reveal something under Reina's skirt. Yamamoto continued to lick the girl's feet, moving up until he almost reached her groin. Reina could barely contain her excitement. Yamamoto also didn't stop his actions, and even added kisses to Reina's smooth thighs. Reina immediately kicked Yamamoto in the head, sending him stumbling backward. Her friend stepped on Yamamoto's head to prevent him from returning to Reina. Both were quite worried about Reina, but also noticed Yamamoto's glare. Reina trembled. Her friends began to advise her to tell her father that a priest's son was trying to attack them. Hearing this, Yamamoto was shocked, and his eyes widened involuntarily. Reina wasn't convinced, but for now, she chose to leave, leaving Yamamoto alone. Yamamoto was quite worried. If Reina actually told her father, Yamamoto's life would surely be over. When he arrived home, he found a group of people praying in his house. It was a familiar sight for him. It seemed impressive, but it was actually torturous for him. His family was so focused on religious events that they didn't pay much attention to Yamamoto's lifestyle. The young man couldn't even rest peacefully because of the sound of people praying. Yamamoto felt terrible about what he had done at school. He realized that he had gotten carried away and made Reina feel disgusted with him. As if things weren't bad enough at school, things at home were also really disturbing Yamamoto's peace. The teenager could only chant prayers and hoped that he would soon leave the small island and go to the big city after graduation. That was the only hope he had, because both school and home life were torturing him. Meanwhile, to calm himself, Yamamoto grabbed his headphones and started listening to the radio. Suddenly, he heard news about a scandal at the company owned by Reina's father. The company was involved in a whistleblower scandal. The news immediately shocked Yamamoto. 3 months have passed since then. The company scandal has had an impact on Reina's school life. Reina seemed to be shunned by her friends. Even if they had to be in groups for a subject, Reina would be left alone. As a result, Reina preferred to be alone in the infirmary room. The girl entered and lay down on the infirmary room bed. She didn't realize that someone had already occupied the room and was lying right next to Reina's bed. Yamamoto was suffering from a fever and resting in the infirmary room. He saw and recognized Reina's presence. The young man even continued to stare at Reina, who was lying with her back to him. Reina turned and faced the ceiling. At that moment, she just realized Yamamoto's presence. Reina was staring at him so intensely. Yamamoto, unable to contain his overflowing embarrassment, his face flushed bright red. Yamamoto immediately buried his face in the bed. Yamamoto asked about Reina's condition out of concern, but his incoherent words were inaudible to Reina. Reina then wondered if the recent incident was a divine act directed at Reina, who had previously bullied him. Yamamoto was shocked and immediately looked at Reina with a confused expression. Reina continued. Perhaps what had happened to her was retribution for her actions in bullying the priest's son. Yamamoto then realized what Reina meant. Yamamoto denied it. Reina's suspicions were incorrect. Reina was then confused because, according to her memory, Yamamoto himself had claimed to be the son of a priest. Yamamoto confirmed it, but the misperception here was that Yamamoto believed in gods. Honestly, even though Yamamoto was the son of a priest, he didn't believe in the gods. They were silent for a moment, as if to pause. Reina then responded that she didn't really believe in the gods either. They both had doubts about believing in gods. They felt that if there were gods in their world, things and situations wouldn't be like this. There was a rumor circulating at school. This rumor was often discussed by everyone because it concerned Reina's life. Reina, according to the circulating rumor, was said to be working secretly at a suburban inn. Some heard that the place where Reina worked was owned by a relative of Reina. What made Reina's image fall was her family's situation. Reina was rumored to have to go to work at the inn while her mother was busy playing with other men because her father was in prison. Worse still, the female students even dared to bet that Reina would sell herself at the inn and serve visitors in the near future. They even planned to bring some male friends to stay at the inn where Reina worked for the night. They were so sure that Reina was not just helping out at the inn. All the gossip and rumors were heard directly by Reina. The girl immediately trembled with fear, unable to understand the wild thoughts of the people who were once her friends. Reina got up from the infirmary room bed, stared at Yamamoto for a moment, then left. Since then, Reina never came to school again. No one looked for her. Even Reina's desk was always filled with magazines of naughty kids in class because they were sure the owner of the desk would never come. Yamamoto seemed worried, or perhaps curious. He tried to open the website of the inn where Reina worked, according to the rumors circulating at school. There, he found photos of a series of women, one of whom looked exactly like Reina. From there, Yamamoto concluded, although a little disbelieving, that in fact, the rumors circulating at school were true. Yamamoto decided to go to the inn to check it out. The name of the place was Onifukuin, which could be translated as Garden of Lucky Women. Yamamoto came not as a customer, but simply to sneak in to check it out. He also brought his savings, which were still in a piggy bank, just in case he was caught sneaking in. He would stay overnight as a customer if he were caught. Anticipation and a plan were in place. Now, he had to find out where Reina was. Not long after, Yamamoto heard Reina screaming. From what he heard, the girls seemed to be arguing, protesting that something had not gone according to plan. The agreement Reina had previously agreed to was only enough to accompany the customer for a drink, but it seemed the innkeeper had reneged. To the innkeeper's grandmother, their customers were gods. Reina shouldn't pretend to be ignorant and not know how the place worked. Reina was asked to put aside her pride and continue working to satisfy the customer. Reina was forced to stay in a room while the granny who owned the inn escorted Reina's customer inside. The customer seemed quite confident and capable of handling a young girl who was full of turmoil and rebellion, like Reina. Reina herself could only remain silent, even though the man who was her customer calmed her down. Reina remained expressionless even though her legs began to be spread by her customer. The man seemed to start to feel the skin of Reina's thighs so smooth. Not only that, the man began to force his way under the girl's skirt. Reina tried to hold back her reaction, but too much stimulation made her lose control. The man seemed excited to hear Reina's voice, even just once. The girl looked resigned, sweating and trembling, perhaps afraid of her fate soon. Her eyes looked around until they glanced at Yamamoto outside. The girl was quite surprised, as was Yamamoto. The look of resignation that had initially shown in Reina's eyes now turned into a hopeful glint in Yamamoto's eyes. Yamamoto was confused. He didn't understand the meaning of Reina's gaze. The girl seemed hopeful, begging him for help. Reina was trembling, but Yamamoto was no less so. His mind was in disarray, but his body's biological responses remained active, as if they were a healthy teenage boy. There was something upright, but unfortunately not justice. They stared at each other in silence until the customer began exploring Reina's upper body. Reina struggled, refusing to do so, but the customer continued to enjoy the young girl's slender neck. Seeing the girl he loved struggle didn't move Yamamoto in the slightest until then. While unfortunate, he couldn't do anything. Reina was paid to serve customers. It was the duty of a service provider to provide services to paying customers. Reina couldn't refuse, as the work was for her survival. Yamamoto seemed resigned. He, as a high school student, couldn't do anything. Even if he tried to help Reina at that moment, it would only be temporary. Yamamoto knew he couldn't guarantee a long-term decent life for Reina. Reina still tried to struggle, but the man held her down. After feeling her still, the man held Reina's hands, preventing her from struggling further while he explored her assets. Yamamoto remained silent. Reina's free hand grabbed a glass bowl and smashed it against the man's head. Yamamoto was shocked. Reina was scared, trembling and worried, but her attempt failed. The man was indeed injured, but still managed to get up easily. Reina instead received the wrath of the customer, a warning not to resist further. Reina screamed, cried and shouted unwillingly. The customer also did not want to lose. He had paid to experience the night with Reina. Reina was stepped on, forced to spread her legs. Yamamoto remained silent, watching the situation unfold. Reina Shiratori was once a highly admired girl, but due to her family's downfall, she was now treated as a mere entertainer. Yamamoto was one of those who truly adored Reina. In fact, simply meeting Reina's gaze was enough to make him incredibly happy. Talking to Reina was an incomparable pleasure for Yamamoto. With all the pleasure he had experienced previously, Yamamoto could no longer bear to see his favorite girl suffer. The young man barged in, throwing the piggy bank full of money he had brought directly at the customer's head. When the male customer fell, Yamamoto beat him mercilessly. Yamamoto was fully aware that he had nothing in his life, but he couldn't just stay silent. He felt so cornered and depressed, so much so that he was now at a loss for what else to do. His anger was so high when he saw the girl he adored was about to be stolen by a pedophile. Yamamoto kept throwing punches and punches until his fists were now covered in the victim's blood. Reina, who saw this, initially just stood there stunned in disbelief, but the girl then stopped the man who had helped her from continuing to beat the victim. Reina grabbed Yamamoto's fist, which was full of blood splatter, and then kissed it. The girl thanked Yamamoto. Yamamoto's face was bright red with embarrassment. The young man was acting awkwardly in front of the girl he liked. Reina stopped Yamamoto because what the young man had done was enough. The man who was about to taste Reina was gone because of the impact of a tin piggy bank filled with 500 yen bills, making the total weight reach 7 kilograms. The piggy bank was enough to cause a fatal injury to the male customer's head. Yamamoto just realized he had killed a human. He trembled, not believing what he had done. Reina took the piggy bank and invited Yamamoto to go with her. Reina held out her hand. Yamamoto was confused by what the girl was talking about. According to Yamamoto, they should contact the police immediately. Reina had the same thought, but no longer. According to the girl now, if the rules can't protect them, then they don't need to obey them. Reina invited Yamamoto to leave the small island. Yamamoto finally took the girl's outstretched hand. They ran away together, who knows where. Still, whatever Reina did, Yamamoto would be fascinated. Yamamoto once thought that the reason he liked Reina was that she was someone he couldn't reach. He felt like he would never be able to catch up to her, and he even felt hopeless. Therefore, the situation at that moment made him very happy. He could walk beside Reina. His surging feelings made his body feel hot. In that situation, he felt like Reina could fly so high while he only looked like a squid. Reina seemed to smile happily. The girl invited Yamamoto to go to Tokyo. Reina wanted to go and see an Okashira park. To do that, they had to go by ferry. Yamamoto offered to buy a ticket for Reina because she didn't have an ID. The two of them sneaked and hid in the women's restroom. They were very close because they were in a small space. Both of them blushed because they saw each other. Yamamoto finally chose to close his eyes. Even so, their position was very dangerous. It was advantageous for Yamamoto, but risky for both of them. Yamamoto Jr. again straightened up without warning. Yamamoto had tried his best to keep it from getting hard, but he couldn't. Reina even felt something protruding, pressing against her skirt. Instead of moving away, Reina got closer to Yamamoto. Reina blushed. The girl had just learned that a man's assets could increase in certain situations. Without feeling guilty, Reina actually touched Yamamoto's sensitive part, which was hard. Yamamoto was increasingly unable to hold back his turmoil. His head was complicated. What exactly was Reina doing to him? Reina just smiled. The hug earlier was just her gratitude to Yamamoto, but she didn't know if her actions could provoke something excessive. The girl tried to understand that what happened was something natural and unavoidable. Reina was also the same as girls in general. She also didn't really understand men. Therefore, she told Yamamoto that the young man didn't need to apologize for what had just happened. Reina spoke, but Yamamoto could no longer think clearly. His mind was in disarray, lost to the turmoil in his body and mind. Yamamoto really couldn't understand what Reina had just said, however. The more he looked at her, the more he realized that Reina really did look very beautiful up close. Their ship was rocking because of the waves. Those inside were certainly affected. Yamamoto sat down while Reina seemed to fall on him. The girl was fine, but her legs were numb. Yamamoto himself felt the softness of Reina's thighs pressing against him. In addition, the heat he felt was getting stronger. The two were so close that Yamamoto could smell Reina's sweet scent. Reina's reddened ears also looked so adorable to him. And even though they were only touching through clothing, but still Yamamoto wanted to conclude that his assets had touched a beautiful girl. Yamamoto began to wonder if Reina had deliberately invited him to do an adult scene. He didn't know anymore. Yamamoto felt something wet. His head was confused whether Reina was wet from too much stimulation or just sweat. Reina looked hot. The girl apologized to Yamamoto. The young man just gave in. Another thought crossed his head. Could it be that Reina was as excited as he was? Seeing how Reina was at that time, it was a possibility. Both of them couldn't move freely. Reina was trembling. Yamamoto was trembling as well. The young man wanted to hug the girl but stopped. The young man's thoughts were even more confused. He wondered if the two of them had just done something indecent together. Yamamoto, who was lost in his lust, unconsciously asked Reina. The young man asked Reina to show her assets to Yamamoto. Reina was surprised, but the girl agreed. Hearing Reina's agreement made Yamamoto even more surprised. Reina began to unbutton her shirt one by one. Her hands were shaking, and to distract herself, she continued asking. All the buttons on her shirt had been undone. There were still 2 layers, a tank top and a bra. Reina said her feelings and mood were still a bit confused, so she asked Yamamoto not to stare at her assets for too long. Reina lifted her tank top up, revealing a pair of her assets still covered by a bra. Yamamoto stared at her. From what he saw, Yamamoto was now convinced that goddess really existed in the world. Unfortunately, Yamamoto could not contain his turmoil. The young man dripped blood from his nose, making Reina worried because the young man had a nosebleed. Yamamoto, when he saw the blood dripping into the piggy bank below him, remembered what he had done to the male guest of the inn. Reina's voice brought him back to his senses. The young man was okay, he just needed to cool his head for a moment. The 2 of them were silent again. Reina put her shirt back on neatly, sat on the floor and took out a business card and looked at it. Reina then told Yamamoto that when she was on a study tour to Tokyo, someone offered her a job as a model at an agency. Reina was almost recruited at that time. Reina thought she might be able to stop by to visit the agency when they arrived in Tokyo. There was a dormitory there that could be used to live and work, Reina said. Reina thought maybe she could become a model. They also had to start looking for part-time jobs to survive. Yamamoto was shocked, not knowing what Reina had just said. Yamamoto was surprised by Reina's thoughts. The young man couldn't understand how the girl could think that way when they were probably already fugitives. For Yamamoto, they were both now murderers on the run. Reina could guess Yamamoto's expression. The girl guessed that Yamamoto probably thought it was impossible for Reina to become a model. Reina asked if Yamamoto were in the recruiter's position, he wouldn't recruit a girl like Reina. Yamamoto was shocked. He was confused about how to explain it, because it wasn't Reina who was the problem, but the situation between the 2. If Yamamoto were a recruiter, of course he would accept Reina. Instantly, Reina looked very happy. Seeing the girl's happy expression made Yamamoto feel amazed again. Yamamoto was confident that Reina would find a way. After all, she was intelligent. His thoughts about Reina were abruptly cut short, replaced by surprise when she thought about asking the agency if they could live in a dorm together. Yamamoto had been looking forward to Reina taking the initiative to live with him until she told him she would be his little brother. Yamamoto initially refused and tried to pretend to be someone else, but Reina redirected the conversation to her stage name. Elsewhere, a man breaks into a residence he suspects belongs to his brother. The young man searches through his brother's books, magazines, and computer and finds a website for an inn called Ana Fukuin featuring photos of several young women. From what he sees, the young man seems to have come to a conclusion, calling his brother a complete piece of trash. Reina and Yamamoto had arrived in Tokyo. The atmosphere was bustling with crowds of people passing by. Both of them looked amazed but also confused about their destination. Yamamoto's thoughts were divided. The young man was now focusing on the newspapers rather than the crowds of Tokyo. Every page of the newspaper was checked. Perhaps what they had done had been published. However, Yamamoto still couldn't find a single article about the escaped murderer. Reina knew what Yamamoto was worried about. The girl tried to reassure Yamamoto that it didn't matter if they got on the news. What they would do was still run. Keep running if chased until no one remembered their case anymore. If they kept thinking about the worst-case scenario, they would lose time to enjoy the moment. Yamamoto heard Reina's words and saw her harmonious behavior. The girl looked so free like never before. Reina suddenly stopped in front of a clothing store window. There were several mannequins on display and displayed gyra-themed women's clothing. Reina seemed to like it, but with the piggy bank they were currently carrying, the outfit was still too expensive. Yamamoto couldn't even fathom the price displayed. Reina did like the clothes, but didn't require Yamamoto to buy them. Suddenly, the wind blew Reina's hat away. Her appearance was exposed, making so many eyes stare at her in awe. Not only that, there were several men who came with the intention of teasing. Their appearance looked like delinquents and didn't hesitate to touch Reina. Yamamoto stepped forward to prevent Reina from becoming a victim of these men. Reina was shocked while the man was disturbed by Yamamoto's behavior. From their appearances, the man knew that Yamamoto and Reina were teenagers who had run away from home. The two men seemed to be arguing because one of them assumed Yamamoto was Reina's boyfriend, but he strongly doubted his assumption. Yamamoto was silent, but now Reina took action. The girl grabbed Yamamoto's hand and quickly took him away from there. Yamamoto felt bad for not being able to do anything. Finally, he apologized to Reina. Reina didn't understand why Yamamoto apologized to her. She only took Yamamoto to the park that was always her first destination when she went to Tokyo. Reina wanted to go because she always saw the park in the dramas she had watched. Not only did they come, they also tried the boat ride together. The two of them looked so happy, like a couple on a date. However, Yamamoto once again remembered what the thugs had said. He became increasingly insecure about being by Reina's side. He didn't want Reina to feel bad for having to be with him all the time. Suddenly, their boat was matched by a game played by children. Reina didn't want to lose, so she pedaled harder. One of the children mocked Yamamoto for letting Reina struggle alone. Yamamoto, who was sensitive, immediately realized and pedaled harder and took control of the boat with the aim of defeating the children. After that, Reina looked very happy enjoying what had just happened. The situation was very pleasant for Reina, even to the point of being grateful for being given the chance to live. After leaving the park, Yamamoto excused himself to go to the bathroom for a while, but the young man seemed to leave Reina too long, making her quite restless. When Yamamoto returned, he brought the clothes that Reina had previously liked. He bought them for her. Reina was stunned. The girl was very happy and thanked Yamamoto. She immediately changed into the new clothes that Yamamoto had bought. Reina's new appearance really made Yamamoto even more fascinated. Suddenly, it started to rain heavily. Reina asked where they were going to stay. Yamamoto accidentally saw a hotel right near them. The two of them went there, although honestly, Yamamoto also seemed unsure about staying there. It was the first time for Reina and Yamamoto to be in a hotel, especially if the hotel was a hotel that was usually visited by couples. Reina seemed a little embarrassed by the stares around her, so she asked Yamamoto to go to the room immediately. Yamamoto was still thinking about the word first time that Reina had mentioned. Reina had been drenched by the rain, so her clothes were a little see-through. Yamamoto couldn't take his eyes off her, making Reina feel embarrassed too. Reina called Yamamoto naughty. That single word shattered Yamamoto's sanity. The young man loudly questioned, holding her. How could Reina be so completely erotic? Reina was shocked, caught off guard, and fell backward. Her legs accidentally revealed something hidden by her miniskirt. Yamamoto's mind was in disarray. Reina didn't need to be so bashful. Yamamoto was at his limit. He couldn't hold back any longer. Reina didn't understand what was happening. The situation was so sudden for the girl. When Yamamoto almost stole Reina's first kiss, the girl screamed her rejection. Yamamoto was confused why Reina refused when Reina was the one who insisted on staying at the hotel together. Reina just felt unable to do it. Yamamoto just realized. Now he felt so bad, like an idiot getting worked up by himself. Yamamoto wanted to be able to restrain himself and not become more of an idiot, but the young man spontaneously asked Reina about what Reina thought of Yamamoto. The girl answered that all this time, she only thought of Yamamoto as her accomplice. Yamamoto tried to understand that, but he was also still confused. If that was all, then why did Reina, who had worked so hard to get away from her male customers at the inn, easily show off her assets when they were hiding in the women's restroom on the ferry they were on? Yamamoto misunderstood Reina's behavior. He thought the girl would let him do things further. Reina was shocked because she was misunderstood. She then firmly answered that she just wanted to make amends. Yamamoto was shocked by Reina's response. All the good behavior he thought was genuine was actually Reina's atonement for bullying him at school. While she wanted to fulfill all of Yamamoto's fantasies, Reina realized she couldn't handle adult scenes. It's all just an excuse, but if Reina hadn't done that to Yamamoto, then those Yankee boys in senior year would have gotten their hands on him instead. Reina could only apologize for what happened in the past. It was all beyond her control. Yamamoto felt fine. He knew what happened, but the young man no longer cared. For Yamamoto, there was nothing else that required Reina to apologize to him. However, the young man was also very shocked by what happened, to the point that it made Yamamoto almost forget everything that happened before. The young man just wanted Reina to let him do adult scenes with her. Reina was confused by what Yamamoto said. Yamamoto tried to explain what was in his head. The young man thought Reina was a cool girl like other girls, but he never expected Reina to be as pure as an angel, and yet Reina also exudes such an air of raw sex appeal. For Yamamoto, it's really too arousing. Every time Yamamoto looked at Reina, his assets reacted, almost to the point of exploding. Reina was so adorable that Yamamoto couldn't contain himself. After rambling on for so long, Yamamoto finally realized what he was doing and began to worry about Reina hating him. Reina blushed when she heard Yamamoto's explanation. The girl was quite happy when Yamamoto was willing to be honest about it. She knew she felt guilty for what she did, but she also wanted to know if Yamamoto really wanted to forget what had happened before. Even though Yamamoto knew that if he confirmed it, he would be a bastard, the young man still admitted that he wanted to forget. Reina was quite nervous. She had never experienced it before, and she hated being touched without warning. Reina thought that if she allowed Yamamoto to violate her personal boundaries, she might as well let everyone else do so. However, since Yamamoto was with her, because of her, Yamamoto had been getting horny, so Reina wanted to allow Yamamoto a little. Elsewhere, a young man arrives on the island where Yamamoto and Reina previously lived. He's looking for his older brother. When he arrives, the locals recommend Anifukuin as a place to find maids. It's located on the outskirts of town. Nearing Anifukuin, the young man sees the innkeeper carrying a futon wrapped in blood. The old woman complains that she has to clean up the mess. She laments the girl's unlucky and unfortunate fate. She apologizes and promises to take responsibility as long as she isn't haunted. The young man's eyes widen when he sees a keychain shaped like a little girl on the edge of the futon. He clearly remembers that the keychain belonged to his older brother, whom he's been searching for. Back to Reina and Yamamoto at the hotel. The girl felt responsible for Yamamoto's lewd feelings. Therefore, Reina assumed that if she accepted it, it would be okay. Her only condition was that they would do it through their clothes. Yamamoto was given permission by Reina to touch her. The young man who went to find his brother immediately dug up the futon roll buried by the innkeeper. Unfortunately, he wasn't brave enough to dig deep enough. He stopped when he found a blood-stained glass bowl that Reina had previously used to hit her customer's head with. Furthermore, he also found a long, black hair stuck to the glass bowl. Back to Reina and Yamamoto. Reina had her back to Yamamoto while the young man reached forward and groped the girl's assets. Yamamoto couldn't think of anything. He was still confused about what he was actually doing to Reina. He was well aware that both of them were currently escaped murderers. Instead of making plans for the future, he was actually enjoying his youth. Yamamoto didn't forget to ask Reina if what he was doing was still bearable for the girl. Reina didn't mind as long as Yamamoto was just touching. Yamamoto continued his actions. His hands and fingers touched everywhere until he accidentally pressed Reina's sensitive parts, causing the girl to moan spontaneously. Yamamoto was shocked. He realized that he had never had experience with what he was doing, so it was natural for him to hold back. Reina tried to tell Yamamoto that she was okay. All this time, the girl had only been told that fooling around like they were doing was wrong. According to Reina, she just needed to adjust to the situation. Both of their faces became even more red with embarrassment. Yamamoto hesitantly asked if the girl would allow him to continue, and yes, he got her consent. Reina straightened her back and Yamamoto's hands and fingers came back to explore. Yamamoto found Reina's sensitive spot again and pressed it again, eliciting a moan from Reina. At that moment, Yamamoto realized what part he had touched. He felt quite confused about what to do. Yamamoto tried to do more than that, and suddenly, Reina screamed. Yamamoto asked if the girl was okay, and once again, Reina assured him that she was fine. Reina even put her hand on Yamamoto's hand, signaling permission and inviting the young man to continue. Yamamoto's hands were trembling, and Reina, who was being touched, was also trembling. Yamamoto realized they were in danger. Reina was too tempting for him. Even a small touch could make the girl moan. Because the stimulation was too much and intense, now the hard one was not only Yamamoto's but also Reina's. Yamamoto wanted more than he already had. His hands began to lift Reina's crop top little by little. The girl could feel it, but couldn't hold back her voice. She set a limit. Yamamoto's touch was too much. It would be dangerous for her if she touched him directly. Reina was still afraid. Immediately, Yamamoto released his hand from Reina and apologized. Reina felt relieved and leaned against Yamamoto. But unfortunately, the young man did not. The closer the physical contact between them, the more dangerous the situation. Reina sat on Yamamoto's lap and unknowingly once again made Yamamoto's future assets harden. This time, Yamamoto couldn't hold back his moans and finally, Yamamoto finally released his desire. Yamamoto just realized Reina also looked shocked. Immediately, the young man got up and excused himself to take a shower and calm down. Yamamoto wondered if Reina had noticed what had just happened to him outside, and she certainly had. The girl was silent for a moment, but when she remembered how embarrassed he was because of it, Reina chuckled. Yamamoto exited the bathroom after feeling calmer, but still, the embarrassment he felt was unstoppable. A young man searching for his brother chose to stay at the Ana Fukuin Inn. He was greeted by a waitress who seemed to like him. She even offered him special treatment in case he was interested. The young man didn't care and preferred to ask the woman, as he was supposed to have a room in the attic. The waitress agreed, but unfortunately, the attic was in poor condition, so the young man was transferred to another room. The waitress left her customer in the reserved room, then once again before leaving, offered her special treatment, but the young man still ignored her. The young man remained in the room for a moment, but soon moved, forcing his way in through the window, which the waitress avoided. The young man found the floor covered with a rug. When the rug was lifted, the floor was stained with blood. The young man immediately felt regret and cried, feeling like he had failed to stop something that had happened there before he arrived. Yamamoto rested and fell asleep, but his sleep was restless. Reina's customer, whom they had hit with Yamamoto's piggy bank, appeared in his dreams, haunting him. The ghost said that she would always be with him wherever he went. Yamamoto woke up gasping for breath. He knew what he had done was wrong, but he had done it for Reina. He had done such a cruel thing because she needed him. Yamamoto was still trying to catch his breath when Reina woke up beside him and asked what he had been dreaming about. Unlike Yamamoto, Reina seemed to be able to sleep so soundly and peacefully. She greeted Yamamoto, while Yamamoto remained silent in disbelief. Yamamoto was immediately embarrassed and asked why the girl was sleeping next to him. Reina then explained that last night, he had thrown himself onto the bed so hard that he almost fainted. After that, he had fallen asleep. Reina had tried to sleep on the sofa, but her body couldn't. The sofa felt too hard for her. As a result, Reina chose to climb onto the bed and sleep next to Yamamoto, especially since the bed they had booked was quite large. Reina asked if her decision was a problem, but honestly, it wasn't for Yamamoto. Yamamoto actually felt bad because he missed the opportunity. 2 hours later, the two checked out of the hotel and went to Shibuya to visit the agency office that Reina had mentioned. Yamamoto asked to make sure if Reina really knew the location of her agency. Reina had definitely memorized it and would listen to the recruiter if there was a job she could do. Reina looked very excited while Yamamoto was more curious about what kind of place they were going to. The place they were going to didn't seem very convincing, but as they were about to get on, a beautiful woman appeared. The woman was a model at the agency and thought Reina and Yamamoto might be new employees. Reina and Yamamoto looked mesmerized by her stunning appearance. The woman called someone named Maru, who was inside the room. A man appeared from inside and didn't feel like he had an appointment that day. Reina then said that she was the girl who was offered to be a model during the school trip. Maru also seemed to remember Reina. Seemingly less convinced, Reina said the man's full name, Maruno, and also showed Maruno's business card that she got during the school trip. Maru's eyes lit up because he remembered Reina. The man was excited to do an interview right there inside. Maru seemed very friendly, but not very interested in Yamamoto. In fact, Reina had to ask Maru first to get Yamamoto a drink too. Maru began explaining that their office was mainly for photo sessions, but if Reina did her best, she could aim to become a magazine model. In Maru's eyes, Reina had excellent style. He wanted to see if she was interested in gravure. If so, then Reina would eventually be like the beautiful woman who came with them. She was actually in that gal magazine. Yamamoto saw the magazine sample that Maru was talking about and saw the sample photos that Reina would be working on as a magazine model. From there, Yamamoto asked Maru if Reina, his sister, could get a modeling job without having to show her face on camera. Maruno was very surprised to hear Yamamoto's question. It was a shame that Reina had to hide her face, even though she had such charming facial features. Yamamoto explained that Reina had trouble with a stalker and just wanted to lie low for a while. She couldn't afford to though, so they needed to get Reina a job right away. Maruno tried to understand the situation of both of them, but he also wanted to know if Reina also thought the same. Reina confirmed what Yamamoto said. She still came to the agency because she really wanted to be a model. Maruno understood the situation and said that Reina didn't need to show her face. Just the neck down was enough, especially when Reina had beautiful hands. Reina was happy that she succeeded and Yamamoto was happy too. The first thing Reina had to do was attend publicity shoots. Those photos would be for certain customers only. They wouldn't put Reina on their webpage for a while, or otherwise show her face. They would soon conduct a photo test. This was done in another room, and Reina was required to change into a white dress that had been prepared. Reina told Yamamoto that she was very happy because Maruno was so kind and friendly to those who had just arrived. Hearing that, Yamamoto seemed speechless. From Reina's words, Yamamoto could realize that adults were indeed more reliable than he was. Yamamoto also watched Reina's photo shoot. Maruno praised Reina so much, and Yamamoto also saw Reina's charm. He realized that Reina had returned to her former, cheerful self. Reina returned to a world that Yamamoto could never reach. Yamamoto felt gloomy and subconsciously lowered his gaze. The beautiful woman from before approached Yamamoto and asked why he was looking down. Yamamoto was so shocked. His face turned red with embarrassment. The woman approached Yamamoto and told him that the young man was a liar. The woman realized that Yamamoto was not Reina's younger brother because she could see the spark of love in Yamamoto's gaze at Reina. Yamamoto fell silent. Yamamoto said that someone like him could not possibly be Reina's boyfriend. These words actually confirmed the woman's suspicion that Yamamoto was not Reina's younger brother. The woman also knew that Yamamoto was not dating. This was confirmed by Yamamoto because he himself did not know what Reina thought about him. Yamamoto assumed that Reina had no interest in romance. Even if there was someone else who cared more about the girl, he was sure Reina wouldn't consider Yamamoto. The woman saw Yamamoto's worry, and it was confirmed by him. The woman then offered Yamamoto to try something. The two of them would try something that might make Reina jealous. Yamamoto was surprised. The young man was not prepared. The initial stage of the plan, the beautiful woman held Yamamoto's cheek and directed the young man's gaze to her, so that the two were now staring at each other very intensely and closely. The woman smiled while Yamamoto was confused about which direction to look. This experience was truly a first for Yamamoto. They continued to the next stage. The beautiful woman held Yamamoto's hand. The two were now holding hands. This was seen by Reina, but the girl was confused by what Yamamoto was doing with the beautiful woman. Yamamoto continued to stare at the beautiful woman because he was amazed by her very cute face. The beautiful woman was about to start the next stage, which should have a stronger effect. Suddenly, Yamamoto received a kiss on his cheek from the beautiful woman. Yamamoto was so surprised that he even trembled while his face became redder. The beautiful woman chuckled. She could feel that Yamamoto's reaction was so adorable that it made her start to have some fun now. Yamamoto could only remain silent. Only his body movements and expressions were clearly visible. Yamamoto's heart was beating so loudly that it was even heard by the beautiful woman in front of him. Yamamoto couldn't deny it when the beautiful woman asked. His reaction was something that happens when a cute big sis kisses Yamamoto from out of nowhere. Not only Yamamoto, it seems now the beautiful woman is also excited. She was about to do some real smooching. The beautiful woman wanted Yamamoto to be more excited. Yamamoto was very surprised by the beautiful woman's invitation. He wondered if he heard right. How could they do real smooching there when they had just met that day for the first time? The beautiful woman began to put her arms around Yamamoto's neck. Yamamoto froze, but his facial expression was very embarrassed. He was invited to make it exciting for both of them, which meant he would get a serious kiss. It was the first time for Yamamoto, so the kiss was led by the beautiful woman. When the kiss was over, Yamamoto was still silent. He had just done a mouth-to-mouth kiss, something so new for him. The beautiful woman offered to kiss him again. Yamamoto remained silent. If the young man refused, he would simply say no, but the beautiful woman didn't hear any response, which she interpreted as a sign of agreement. The beautiful woman continued to tease Yamamoto to kiss him again in front of the girl he loved. Yamamoto knew he shouldn't let it happen, but he was still very surprised. The only effort Yamamoto made was to endure. The beautiful woman reached for the edge of his lips again before finally involving her tongue to play. Yamamoto could only close his eyes. Finally, he had his first real kiss. The kiss even lasted quite a long time, and in the end, Yamamoto realized again how adorable the woman who had just kissed him was. Yamamoto honestly couldn't believe what he was seeing. He wanted to know about the beautiful woman in front of him, how old she was, or even what her name was. He wanted to know more. But his thoughts were diverted when the beautiful woman made Yamamoto realize that the girl he loved looked really upset now when she looked at him and the woman. Yamamoto was quite surprised. Maruno, who was taking pictures of Reina, even said that the girl's gaze looked rather harsh. The beautiful woman told Yamamoto that Reina's gaze showed that she was far from disinterested in Yamamoto. Yamamoto was shocked. Not because of Reina's gaze, but because he just realized that everything they had just done was just to show off to Reina. The beautiful woman said clearly that it was all just a ploy to fuel Reina's jealousy at first. Yamamoto looked confused. The woman knew, and indeed, Yamamoto looked so adorable to her, but it was a shame that the young man was not her ideal type. The beautiful woman only wanted to play Cupid for Yamamoto. However, one thing the beautiful woman honestly said was that when she started kissing Yamamoto, she started wanting even more. The beautiful woman whispered that she also knew that Yamamoto honestly really enjoyed kissing her, so she told Yamamoto if Reina ever gets angry with Yamamoto, Yamamoto just need to come and tell her about it, then the beautiful woman will perk Yamamoto up. Because the beautiful woman was satisfied, she then said goodbye to leave not only Yamamoto, but also Maruno. Yamamoto could only let the beautiful woman go while still feeling embarrassed. That day Yamamoto felt how wild and fierce Tokyo girls are. From a distance Reina saw Yamamoto's reaction. She looked gloomy and thought to herself that Yamamoto could do that with any girl. After leaving the agency, Reina looked sulky. Yamamoto was confused as to why the girl suddenly didn't wait for him and walked far ahead. Yamamoto chased after her while asking the girl what had made Reina so angry. Reina turned around and answered accusingly that Yamamoto didn't care who it was, as long as she did dirty things. Yamamoto was confused and started to remember the beautiful woman earlier. That wasn't what Yamamoto meant, but he couldn't explain it either. The two went to a fast food restaurant, but Yamamoto was running out of money. He asked about the dormitory that Reina had mentioned earlier. Reina simply replied that she couldn't have access to one until she actually worked. Yamamoto hoped the girl would quickly get a job, but her response was very curt and brought up the beautiful woman at the agency. The beautiful woman from the agency was named Mio. With Reina's attitude and behavior, Yamamoto suspected that perhaps what Mio said was true about Reina not really having no interest in Yamamoto, and currently the girl seemed jealous. Yamamoto tried to throw bait by saying that what he did with other women had nothing to do with Reina because he knew Reina did not have romantic feelings for Yamamoto. Reina looked like she just realized something. The girl honestly didn't really understand what romantic feelings meant. When she went to school, Reina never got into all the love stories going on around her. In her entire life, Reina had never fallen in love with someone even once. Yamamoto was quite surprised by the story, but he also realized that Reina was actually a pretty naive girl. Reina added her comment about the incident. Even though she didn't know anything about love, when the girl saw Yamamoto do something like that, Reina felt very hated. Yamamoto was stunned. Reina teased the young man by touching Yamamoto's leg with her foot. Reina called Yamamoto a dummy. The girl's leg occasionally lifted Yamamoto's pants and moved to touch the young man's leg, so that Yamamoto was confused by the girl's behavior in front of him. Reina asked if a kiss would be better. Yamamoto didn't want Reina to tease him because he knew she didn't really care. The awkward situation was then broken when they heard the sound of a police car siren passing by on the street. They became quite alert and started thinking about finding a proper place to stay. The next day, Maruno reported that he had found a client who liked the photo of Reina they took yesterday. The client's request would free Reina from having to show her face because Reina would only be a model for body cream. Yamamoto, who saw how Reina had grown so rapidly, increasingly realized that the distance between them was very wide. Reina was becoming increasingly unreachable. Even so, Reina didn't seem to care. On the day of the shoot, Yamamoto also came along to the location. The crew seemed to be wondering who Yamamoto was. They had been told that Yamamoto was the younger brother of their model, but anyone who saw the two would have felt strange because neither Reina nor Yamamoto had the slightest resemblance. The crew thought it was safer to say so. Before Reina had even started working as a model, she was already being admired by one of the crew members there. Yamamoto intended to leave, but accidentally bumped into a young man who looked very hot. The two of them apologized to each other. It turned out that the handsome man was Reina's partner this time on the job. Seeing the two of them so close made Yamamoto feel inferior. Yamamoto thought that his attempt to align himself with Reina was foolish because their values in that world were so different. Reina and the handsome man introduced themselves to each other. The man's name was Sasanaru, who would be Reina's partner that day. Reina seemed a little confused when she had to introduce herself because the girl hadn't had time to choose a stage name because she had just started her modeling career that day. Sasanaru then asked Reina's real name. Reina was still thinking about what name she would use as an answer. Reina then remembered an incident at Onafukuen when she worked there and was asked to call a girl who had just gotten a customer. The girl was still a student and was named Yukiko Sakimurata. Unfortunately, when Reina came to pick up the girl, Yukiko had hanged herself. Reina was then asked by the innkeeper to help her clean up the mess, and finally, Reina chose the name Yukiko Sakimurata as the name she introduced to Sasanaru. A month had passed since Reina's career began. Her popularity quickly exploded due to her charm, even though she didn't show her face. Wherever Yamamoto went, he could hear people around him talking about Reina. Yamamoto increasingly felt the distance between him and Reina growing. In the modeling world, Reina was known as Yuki. From then on, Yamamoto avoided going to Reina's dorm as much as possible. He felt it wouldn't be good for him to disturb a celebrity. Suddenly, Mio appeared before him. Yamamoto was very surprised by Mio's arrival. The beautiful woman asked what Yamamoto was doing outside the office. She suspected that he might be running away from Reina. Yamamoto was confused, but the young man was not used to lying. He then honestly told her that he didn't have any money and wanted to ask if he could stay at the office. Hearing this, Mio offered to stay with Yamamoto for a while. When they arrived, because Yamamoto was soaked from the rain, Mio told him to take a shower. Yamamoto obeyed, but the young man remained naked in the bathtub, thinking that maybe it was okay for him to leave Reina's life because he felt like a burden to her. Suddenly, Mio entered the bathtub, joining Yamamoto naked. Mio intended to help Yamamoto bathe. Yamamoto was very embarrassed while Mio pressed her body against his back. Their first kiss was very memorable in Mio's memory. She even wanted to do it again and asked Yamamoto to repeat the kiss with Mio after they finished. Mio touched many parts of Yamamoto. She even wanted to try something new and started kissing the young man's neck. Yamamoto tried hard to restrain himself from the many stimulations he received. Mio put her leg between his legs. Mio allowed Yamamoto not to hold back because she thought it would be better if they felt good together. Mio turned Yamamoto's body and crushed his lips. They were trying to escape reality together, but Yamamoto accidentally saw a commercial on TV that showed Reina's figure. Reina's figure flashed back in Yamamoto's mind. Yamamoto really wanted to do erotic things with Reina, but he realized that Reina was now beyond Yamamoto's reach. Reina also never cared about Yamamoto at all, according to the young man. While Yamamoto was entertaining himself, Reina was waiting for him to return home in her dorm. She had even cooked a meal for him, but unfortunately, the young man she was waiting for didn't return that day.